without a crystal ball. It's been a wild few days with a lot of heavy topics, and I was like, we need to have something way lighter because it's been so heavy on this channel. And then Jenelle Evans dropped a dime into my lap with a video called I Have Something to Say, Episode 1. Now, in a series of episodes, Jenelle Evans, formerly of Teen Mom 2, is going to rip behind the scenes of what happened last year about her time on MTV, her being fired from MTV, and that whole pesky thing about Nugget and the kids. Well, the video is 47 minutes, and for a lot of you, that is way more time than you care to spend on Jenelle Evans. Now, I must say that Janelle's star has definitely faded over the past year. There's been a lot that's happened where she left David and then went back to David. She said that David didn't do stuff, then he did do stuff. She had that whole thing that happened only a few months ago where David took out that thing and he whipped it against that guy's face. And then there's audio and video showing that David did all of this in front of Janelle and her kids. So this comes at a very weird time, but maybe not, because Teen Mom 2 is back on tonight. And it appears as though Janelle doesn't want to let Teen Mom 2 steal her thunder, or maybe she wants to steal Teen Mom 2's thunder as she debuts her take on what happened. Okay, 47 minutes is a long time, you guys. I'm not gonna lie. But I've picked out a few clips from this video that I think are interesting. Now, interestingly, the most entertaining person in this entire episode is Barbara. I miss Barbara. Barbara has quite the voice, quite the voice. And she had a lot to say. David even showed up. Yeah, that's right. David was there. I'm not gonna show you a lot of David because David's like, ooh. But anyways, Janelle claims that this entire thing is going to be all about her explaining to her how CPS ruined her life, how MTV ruined her life, and the true story of what her life was like before, after, and since. And it's like a lot of crying, a ton of crying, a lot of tears for herself, and a lot of just blaming everyone else but herself and minimizing what David did. So in the first clip I'm going to show you, she actually talks about what happened when she says that she found out that Kaiser was actually going to be staying with Doris and was not going to be with her anymore.
I got a voicemail on May 10th, 2019, stating that the grandmother had came up, picked up Kaiser. She didn't know why. She said that day that CPS came to the daycare and actually was asking her a bunch of questions. They interviewed Kaiser and they didn't tell her any details about that interview or any allegations or concerns that they had. They just went back, told Nathan's mother, go pick up Kaiser, and she drove from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, all the way to Leland, North Carolina to pick up Kaiser. May 10th.
Okay, did you get that? So Doris went and picked him up, and there was some sort of interview with, Kaiser, and that was it. Then she went on this long tangent, you guys, a super long tangent about how when everything happens, she's given no information about what happened. She doesn't know why they took them. She doesn't know what it's about. She claims that they didn't tell her any details. She says that they didn't have an order. She drives all the way out there to go get him, but there's no order. She can't find him. Doris isn't there. Nathan won't respond. She plays a voice memo or a voice conversation between her and Kaiser, where Kaiser actually tells her that Grandma told her that he's never going to go live with her again, which, by the way, Doris, that's a terrible thing to say to a kid. How confusing. Am I the only person in this world that's everyone's failing them? Anyways, poor Kaiser. And she's crying all of these tears for her, and it's not about the kids, which is really what irks me more than anything. And then she goes on and talks about how they go and get the order to get all of the kids out, and they do it behind her lawyer's back, and it's not until that actually happens that she finds out what these, allegations are against her.
After the order was signed, the allegations come out. So then finally I was able to see the allegations against me. Number one, they went and interviewed Jace at school. Jace said, I don't like David's anger problem. Number two was the dog incident. Of course, they had to investigate that. I understand. Number three, when Susan Hilburn went and interviewed Kaiser at school in front of his teacher, she said, do you like David? Do you love David? the regular questions. And all he said was, I don't like when they call David when I'm in trouble at school. That is it. No, just an anger problem by David. That is all their allegations against us. And they took my kids away like that.
Did you guys see that? She said it was only because David had an anger problem, and then she glossed over the whole part about the dog, which is really what it all came down to. Like, when everything came out, the reason why they said was because they needed to do an investigation about Nugget, and because Nugget was, like, David was making it impossible for them to even evaluate what happened. They felt like they had to do this in order to make sure that the kids were in an environment that was okay, because that's what happened to Nugget is a big deal. Now, David came on and then he like dismissed it and said that he had to do it because, you know, Nugget was a mean dog. Listen to this.
He bit Inslee on the face more than one time. And the first time it happened, we should have got rid of her. But we had been working with the dog. We had been trying to reward her whenever she was being nice to Inslee or being nice to Jace or Kaiser. It seemed like it was working. And so that was one of the reasons I was taking the video that day that Inslee got in the face, is because we never hardly had that many good videos of the kids playing with the dog. And I wanted to have like a nice little sweet video of them together on the couch.
I've enjoyed my time here in Savannah.
Good girl, no.
Honestly,
So that was like not the first time in that same day that the dog had done something of that nature. Well, you know, I took it upon myself to put the dog down. And
Then he goes on this long diatribe about how, you know, that's just what you do when you live out there. And his dad used to do it to their dogs. And then his neighbor did that to his dog. And he thought it was weird. And then all people where he's from, that's what you do with dogs. And could they have done something differently? Could they have rehomed her? Sure. He just took it into his own hands and he dealt with it. Now, whether you agree with him or not, that's his explanation. That's what he's sticking to. And he says, but it was in the middle of all of this, then suddenly MTV comes in and they're going to let her go. And he did talk about how he didn't want to work on MTV. He didn't want to be a part of it. He didn't like MTV. You know what? Honestly, the one thing I got out of this whole thing is what a crappy employer MTV is, because Barbara comes on and then she talks about it. Now, after he talks about how MTV gets into the middle of this and it results in her being let go, then Janelle comes on and talks about this, and she cries more tears here than about her kids.
But I tell you. So then, you know, my assistant manager at the time, he called me and he said, I have some news to share with you. And I didn't want to answer the phone because I already figured what the phone call was going to be about. And then he texted me and he said, the MTV crew and the producers want to talk to you. And I said, it's okay, you can talk to them. I think I already know what it's about. And he said, I'm sorry. And I said, they're letting me go, aren't they?
So then we get over to Barbara, who starts talking about what she thinks about all of this. And she can't understand why MTV didn't let her go, but they didn't let Amber go. And made some valid points about Amber, about how Amber has done all of these terrible things, how she got locked up. But she also talked about how, you know, in the middle of all of this, there was also, you know, we signed up for this. We aren't the favorites. This is what she had to say about Amber Portwood.
I mean, Amber Portwood, she blasted me out on Instagram and said, or on the internet, one of them too, and she's calling me a drunk, and she's telling me to go suck somebody's blank, blank, blank. And I'm like, oh my God. I said, she's saying that about me? I'm like 67. She's telling me to go do that. And so she doesn't get fired from MTV. You know, a lot of, I think that there's like a clique. Almost like, not clique, I would say favoritism. There was favoritism in that show, you know, and it's wrong. It was wrong. I mean, don't get me wrong. Janelle's no angel, you know, and I don't condone her behavior. But, you know, deal was, it was to sign up and your life would be portrayed on TV. So there was really no justification why we were, let go. And the thing is, it's like Janelle and I had the same contract as Janelle.
She goes on to talk about how she has the same contract as Janelle, and so letting Janelle go isn't like, why would you let Barbara go? She said that their contracts were not contingent on each other. And then Barbara went on to this really long diatribe about Nessa. So remember the last episode where she was on, it was the reunion, and Nessa was like wanting to talk to Janelle about her something she posted on Instagram related to Colin Kaepernick, and Nessa wanted to take the opportunity where she was supposed to go on stage and she was supposed to talk about her episode, Janelle, and Nessa just wanted to talk about Colin. And it got Janelle really upset, and she ran off, and she said she wasn't feeling good. And then she came back, and then Nessa kept doing it, and then Janelle was done, right? Well, Barbara basically said that she saw on the teleprompter that it was an entire setup. Like, she said she looked over and Nessa was reading off of a teleprompter, which made her realize that the entire incident that happened between Nessa and Janelle was put together by the producers because they knew that they were going to fire Janelle. This is what she alleges. And they wanted Janelle to go out with a bang. Because if you also remember at the end of that episode, or that reunion episode, they basically said, well, Janelle, we'll see you later. It was like they knew she wasn't coming back, even before they had actually fired her. Long story short, there was no accountability here by Janelle. There was some discussion about, she said that she had to give up Jace because of not being able to give him bottles. She is, the perpetual VICTIM to the system. She's owned by her network. She's owned by everything. And the only thing I got out of all of this is really that she wasn't the one that did what David did. So in my estimation, she probably shouldn't have been fired. And then the stuff about the kids, like, they had to do something because it was a huge story. And when you do something like that to a dog, in a lot of states, that's against the law. So you have to, you can't put it on as though it was just a mild anger issue. It's way bigger than that. Have we forgotten about all of his arrests? Have we forgotten about her RO that she took out against him? It's like she's putting together and piecing together a history that is only relevant to her and not anybody else. And she's leaving out humongous details. Well, I understand there's going to be way more episodes, so we might get some of these details filled in the blank. All in all, I was not super impressed. I mean, I was impressed with Barb for basically calling out MTV because if anything, Barb has a point. MTV needs to fire Amber Portwood. There are people on Young and Pregnant that should probably be fired too, and they aren't consistent. And if this is what they signed up for her to be penalized for what David did when David wasn't even on the show, it's not fair. Janelle even said that her producer, she felt was super fake to her and basically they all believed that David was going to do some stuff to her, to the producers, and they made them film out of state because they didn't want to be anywhere near David. So basically David is the common denominator in all of this. The kids are lost because of David. She loses her job because of David. Can we just talk about David? How about you just blame David instead of saying that it's you or this person that got the raw end of the deal? The cards are in your favor. The cards are stacked right in front of you, Janelle. Walk away from David and all of this goes away. The whipping, the calls, the fighting, it all disappears if you just walk away from David. Maybe you even get your reputation back if you walked away from David, right? I don't know. A lot of comments were all over the place. Most people were being super trolly. Some people were saying, yay, I can't wait for more. I want to know what your thoughts are. Do you like this? Do you want to hear more? Are you just I'm not interested if this is what she's going to do? Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.